They may act cold, distant, unbothered. Maybe they've even blocked you or walked past you like you never existed. But here's the truth that no one tells you. Real love doesn't just vanish. And often the people who act like they've moved on are the ones hurting the most in silence. Sigmund Freud once said, "Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways." So when your ex pulls away, when they pretend they're unaffected, it doesn't always mean they've stopped caring. In fact, sometimes it means they care even more, but don't know how to handle it. Let's be real, breakups are messy. They don't follow clean timelines or make perfect emotional sense. And if you're here wondering, do they still love me? You're not crazy for asking. You're human. And the answer might be yes, but hidden behind a wall of pride, fear, or confusion. Here's the thing. Love doesn't always show up as a grand gesture or a late-night confession. Sometimes love hides in awkward silences, delayed replies, random check-ins, or even strange behavior that doesn't seem to match their words. That's what we're uncovering today. The subtle, often overlooked signs that your ex still has feelings, even if they're pretending they don't. Shakespeare once wrote, "The course of true love never did run smooth," and your ex's emotions might be more twisted and tangled than you think. They could be doing everything in their power to look strong, indifferent, or happy, but their actions may still be revealing a truth they're trying to suppress. They're not over you. In this video, we're going to break down 7 hidden signs your ex still loves you, even if they're acting like you never mattered. You'll start to see the patterns behind the distance. You'll understand why they're acting cold, what they're really feeling underneath it all, and what it actually means for you moving forward. By the end of this video, you won't be stuck guessing anymore. You'll know exactly what to look for, and more importantly, you'll have clarity about where you stand. This is your power. Because once you see through the performance, you stop reacting and start responding from a place of confidence and calm. Stay with me until the end, because the final sign, number 7, is one that most people completely miss. Yet it's the most revealing one of all. It could be the key that unlocks everything you've been wondering. If this resonates with you, hit that like button, subscribe, and join the conversation by commenting. Love doesn't lie. That's your mantra. Simple, powerful, true. Let's dive into the signs, because the truth your heart is looking for, it's closer than you think. Stay focused. Sign 1. They keep tabs on you. Silently. Expanded. One of the most overlooked but powerful signs your ex still has feelings for you is when they keep tabs on you, quietly, behind the scenes. They won't reach out directly. They might not even like your posts, but somehow they still know what you're up to. This behavior can show up in subtle ways. They're always one of the first to view your stories. You notice random likes from a burner account, or mutual friends tell you, "Hey, your ex was asking about you the other day." Let's be real. People don't keep up with things they no longer care about. When someone truly moves on, their attention naturally shifts elsewhere. But if your ex is still monitoring your life, even from a distance, that's not just curiosity. That's emotional investment wrapped in silence. They're watching not because they're over you, but because they aren't. They just don't want you to know. And why the silence? Because vulnerability is terrifying, especially for someone who may have walked away thinking they were in control. Reaching out makes them feel exposed. Watching from afar, that feels safer. Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your ex might be reacting with pride, not peace. They're holding back, hoping you'll notice their quiet presence and make the first move. Sometimes this behavior goes even deeper. They might unfollow you, only to refollow weeks later. Or they block you, and then unblock you again. These digital breadcrumbs aren't random. They're emotional smoke signals. They're trying to see if you'll react, if you'll notice, if you still care. Because as long as you're still watching them too, they don't have to feel like they're the only one holding on. They may also use mutual friends to do the watching for them. Ever had someone casually mention that your ex brought you up in conversation? That's not an accident. Your name doesn't just slip out if it no longer holds weight. They're fishing for information without having to come to you directly. It's a protective move. They want insight without risking rejection. And here's where the psychology really kicks in. Avoidance is a defense mechanism. Instead of confronting lingering feelings, they suppress them. But the heart doesn't lie, and neither do their actions. The fact that they're watching means your chapter isn't closed in their mind. It's just paused. So the next time you catch them watching your story within minutes of posting, or your friend says, "Guess who asked about you again?" take it as a clear sign. Their pride may be loud, but their actions whisper the truth. You still matter. And remember, silence doesn't mean absence. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one feeling the most. Sign number 2, they bring you up in conversations, even casually. Another hidden sign that your ex still has feelings for you is when they mention you to other people, especially mutual friends or people you both know, even if it's just in passing. It might not sound like a big deal at first, but think about it. You're not around. They don't need to talk about you. So why do they? Because you're still on their mind. They may try to keep it low-key, slipping your name into conversations like, "It means nothing." "Oh yeah, she used to love that place," or "He was really into that kind of music." It sounds casual, even harmless, but the truth is, they're referencing you for a reason. You're still mentally and emotionally present in their world, whether they realize it or not. Psychologist Carl Jung once said, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." If your ex is resisting their feelings, their subconscious may still be processing the relationship. So when they talk about you, especially to people they know will tell you or report back, they're not just reminiscing, they're reaching. This is a subtle form of emotional leakage. Sometimes they'll even do this in a way that sounds neutral or even negative. Maybe they say something like, "We just weren't right for each other," or "They've probably already moved on." But make no mistake, even negativity is a sign of emotional attachment. If they were truly over you, they wouldn't feel the need to bring you up at all. This kind of behavior often increases when they think you're slipping away. The moment they sense you're healing, growing, or living your life without them, the urge to insert themselves back into your orbit through conversation intensifies. It's their way of saying, "Hey, I still exist in your world, and you still exist in mine." So if mutual friends are telling you things like, "Your ex was talking about you the other day," or "They brought up that trip you two went on," take that seriously. Even if the words seem innocent, the act of speaking about you at all is a quiet confession. You're not just a memory. You're a presence they haven't let go of. Sign number 3. Their emotions fluctuate around you. One of the clearest hidden signs your ex still loves you is when their emotions seem all over the place whenever you're around, or even when you're mentioned. One day they seem cold and distant. The next, they're overly emotional, nostalgic, or even irritated. That inconsistency isn't random. It's emotional conflict bubbling to the surface. Love and resentment can exist in the same space, especially after a breakup. And when someone still has feelings for you, but doesn't want to admit it, or doesn't know how to handle it, those emotions leak out in unpredictable ways. Hot and cold behavior is almost always a sign that there's something unresolved. As author and philosopher Alain de Botton says, one of the best indicators of love is irritation. Strange, right? But it's true. People often lash out or get moody not because they don't care, but because they do. Emotional distance can be a form of protection. It's easier for your ex to act annoyed or indifferent than to show that they're still hurt, still affected, still attached. You might notice their mood shifts when they see you, hear about you, or come across something that reminds them of you. Maybe they act passive-aggressive or start arguments that seem to come out of nowhere. Maybe they act super friendly one day, then totally avoid you the next. These contradictions aren't confusion, they're emotional tension. Here's what's really happening. Deep down, they haven't sorted through their feelings. There's still love, but it's mixed with regret, fear, ego, maybe even guilt. That internal chaos shows up externally. The more they try to suppress their feelings, the more they come out sideways, in frustration, silence, or unpredictable reactions. So if your ex can't seem to stay emotionally neutral around you, if they're overly reactive, uncharacteristically emotional, or swinging between warm and cold, that's not closure. That's a heart that hasn't let go yet. You don't get emotionally triggered by someone you're over. You only get that way when they still hold a piece of you. Sign number 4. They remember the little things. When someone truly doesn't care anymore, the details fade. But if your ex remembers the small things, the way you take your coffee, the nickname only they used for you, your favorite song, the random stories you told them months ago, that's not forgetfulness. That's emotional attachment. And that's a strong sign they still have love for you, whether they admit it or not. It might come out subtly. Maybe during a random encounter or conversation, they bring up something that feels oddly specific. Didn't you used to love this place? Or, you always hated rainy weather like this. These comments seem casual, but they reveal that your memory is still alive in their mind. You're not a chapter they've closed. You're a playlist they keep replaying. As the great poet Rumi once said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. If your relationship meant something, the moments you shared, especially the small, intimate ones, leave a mark. So when they recall those tiny details, it's often their subconscious way of revisiting the connection you once had. This kind of memory recall is powerful because it shows they weren't just passively in your life. They were paying attention. And love, real love, always pays attention to the details. If they can still describe how you laughed at dumb jokes or how you always double-checked the oven before leaving the house, those things live rent-free in their heart for a reason. Sometimes they bring it up directly. Other times, it just slips out. Either way, it tells you one thing. They've replayed your relationship in their head more than once. They've reflected. They've remembered. And in remembering, they've kept a piece of you with them, even if everything else seems distant. So don't underestimate the power of small things. When someone clings to the details, it's because the emotion tied to them is still real. They may act indifferent on the outside, but inside, you still matter more than they want to admit. Sign number 5. They get jealous, even when they have no right. To one of the clearest hidden signs your ex still has feelings for you is jealousy, especially when it shows up in subtle, unexpected ways. Maybe they act distant, like they've moved on, but the moment they see you talking to someone new, posting with a potential love interest, or even just glowing in your independence, their energy shifts. They might not say it outright, but the signs are there. Their tone changes. They suddenly pull away. They post something reactive or passive-aggressive, or they start acting cold or irritated out of nowhere. This kind of behavior doesn't come from apathy. It comes from emotion. Jealousy is not about possession, it's about fear of replacement. Even the legendary Napoleon Bonaparte once said, "Jealousy is a form of hatred built upon insecurity." When your ex sees that you're no longer emotionally dependent on them, that someone else might be giving you attention or worse, making you happy without them, it rattles them. Because deep down, they haven't let go. They just expected you wouldn't either. They might make snarky comments like, "Guess you've moved on fast," or ask mutual friends about who you're spending time with. They may even try to one-up you with their own posts or suddenly show up in places they know you'll be. All of this is just smoke from the fire they're pretending isn't burning anymore. What makes jealousy such a telling sign is how involuntary it is. You can fake being happy. You can fake indifference. But jealousy, that slips out. You don't get triggered by someone you're over. If your ex is bothered by who you're with or how you're living, it means they still see you as theirs in some emotional way, even if they won't say it out loud. So pay attention to the vibe shift. If your ex seems to get weird, distant or reactive the moment someone else enters your life, that's not a coincidence. That's unresolved emotion speaking loud and clear. Because at the end of the day, you only get jealous about what still matters to you. Sign number 6. They respond emotionally to your wins or your glow-up. Here's a truth not everyone wants to admit. Your ex noticing your growth, your wins, your confidence, your glow-up, will trigger them if they still have feelings. Whether you're leveling up emotionally, physically, socially, or even professionally, their reaction says more than their words ever will. You post a new picture, and suddenly they're watching your stories again. You talk about something exciting happening in your life, and they respond with sarcasm, awkward silence, or a weirdly emotional reaction. Maybe they even go out of their way to remind you they're doing fine too, like it's a competition. Why? Because your success forces them to reflect on what they lost. As Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." But here's the twist. When you start shining without your ex, it can make them feel inferior, or at least uncomfortable. Especially if they assumed you'd crumble without them. Your glow-up challenges the story they told themselves to justify the breakup. Your progress becomes a mirror, and mirrors can be brutal when someone's not ready to face their own emotional truth. Your happiness without them stings, not because they don't want you to grow, but because deep down, they wish they were still part of that growth. And this emotional response won't always come out as praise. Sometimes they'll try to downplay your success, make passive-aggressive remarks, or suddenly go quiet when something good happens to you. Other times, they'll reach out just to say, "I'm happy for you," but with a tone that tells you they're really not. If your ex reacts positively, negatively, or awkwardly to your wins, they're still emotionally invested. Indifference is silence. But if your light makes them blink, flinch, or speak, that means you still matter, more than they're ready to admit. Sign number 7, they struggle to let go of the connection. Completely. This is the most subtle, yet perhaps the most telling sign of all. They haven't truly let go. Maybe they've cut contact, maybe they're seeing someone new, maybe they act like the past is behind them. But somehow, they still hold on to little threads of your connection. A photo they never deleted, a playlist they still listen to, an old message they haven't erased. The emotional cord, still there. They may not say it out loud, but their actions, or lack of action, speak volumes. If your ex hasn't completely shut the door, even after all this time, it's because some part of them isn't ready to lose the bond you shared. You were more than just a moment in their life. You were a chapter they keep rereading in their mind. As author Jonathan Safran Foer once wrote, "You cannot protect yourself from sadness without protecting yourself from happiness." Your ex may be protecting themselves from the pain of reconnecting, but in doing so, they're also cutting themselves off from the comfort of that love. This conflict often keeps them emotionally tethered, even if you're no longer physically in touch. You might notice they don't unfollow you, or they keep certain photos and memories alive in subtle ways. Maybe they reach out during vulnerable moments, birthdays, holidays, or late at night when nostalgia hits hardest. These moments aren't accidents. They're emotional echoes. They might even disappear for long periods, only to return with a casual message like nothing happened. This isn't just about closure. It's about keeping the door slightly open, just in case. They're afraid to fully let go because deep down, they haven't truly moved on. They're still emotionally connected, even if their pride tells them not to show it. When someone truly no longer cares, they don't leave loose ends. But if they can't seem to fully erase you from their life, if the connection lingers in small, quiet ways, it's because that love, even if hidden, is still alive somewhere inside them. So now you know, love doesn't always leave loudly. Sometimes it lingers in silence, in glances, in awkward energy, in random texts at 1 a.m., in the way your name still slips out of their mouth like muscle memory. If your ex is showing even a few of these signs, chances are they haven't fully let go. Not emotionally, not yet. But here's the part that matters most. You don't need to chase to be chosen. If they still love you, it's not your job to pull it out of them. It's their journey to face. Your power isn't in waiting. It's in becoming. Becoming the version of yourself that doesn't need to be validated by someone else's confusion. Remember what Rumi said, "What you seek is seeking you." If the love is meant to return, it will, but only when you're aligned with your highest self. And if it doesn't, that just means better love, deeper love, is on its way to meet you where you truly belong. If this video gave you clarity, confidence, or just made you feel seen, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe for more content just like this, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop of truth. And if you're ready to fully stand in your power, drop this in the comments. I am no longer waiting, I am rising. Thank you for watching. Stay grounded, stay glowing. And always remember, real love recognizes real value, and yours was never lost. See you in the next one.